All right, what's up, everybody? This is, Trevor, say it, Speak from the Soul. Trevor created that. He just thought of it one night. Speak from the Soul. I like that, right?
I dig it.
Soul Recovery Academy. This is, again, this is a couple weeks in a row of friends of mine, and I'm happy to have Freddy Vásquez in the house. Let's give it up for Freddy.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you.
Freddy is the owner of FXV Digital. I met Freddy at a networking gig in Wyomissing at a Wyomissing restaurant, and we've been buddies since. We have worked together. We've enjoyed each other. We've had some great conversation. I've done his podcast. He's done this one. He was a speaker here. Is it 2 years ago now? Like a year and a half ago? 2 years, Jake? And and everybody loved you. I want you to know that. Like everybody
Thanks,
enjoyed what you had to say. He has a way better beard than I do because it's all like a cool color. And mine needs colored now and from synthetically, right, Todd? We're gonna synthetically color it. And yeah, and his looks great. Mine looks weird. So gonna call me Weird Beard, and that's yeah, tonight I just want to, having a conversation with me is like the best way to do this. We have people here. I hope you guys interact. Feel free. I didn't announce that before, and I always forget to announce that. If somebody has a question, like, gladly stop us, but come up to the mic and be like, hey, like, I know, Brandon, you can't wait to get on the mic. Just come up to the mic and say, hey, like, I got a question about that. Like, there's nothing stuffy about what we do. There's nothing. There's no rules we have to follow here. This isn't church. You can just come here and be you and ask questions. And except you, you have to make sure you stay quiet over there. And then but yeah, Freddy V. So first of all, tell everybody what you do and who you are. Like Freddy is like the governor of Berks County marketing.
Really?
The governor
marketing,
of digital marketing. So
I try.
Tell everybody what you do, bro.
I do marketing. I fell into it. I fell into it. I had a band when I was a kid, and somebody had to make flyers. Somebody had to build a website back when websites weren't even like a huge thing. And as time went on, I had different jobs, and I worked in the music business. I worked in retail, but I always came back to, designing, being creative.
Wait a minute. What kind of retail did you work in? I want to know.
I worked at a Sam Goody.
Sam Goody got it.
Sam Goody got it, man. I was a store manager.
Were you really?
Yeah, in Middle Village, Queens, New York.
In Queens, New York, you were at a Sam Goody.
Yeah, man.
You killed all the sports memorabilia and all the sports clothing and everything.
That was all music.
All music.
It was all music.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I'm thinking of a sports place.
Modell's.
That's it. Dude.
Same color.
Not only are you the governor of marketing, you're like
branding.
You're like you have like ESPN too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
ESPN. That's it. ESPN. No, yeah, I did retail for a while. And I tell my wife and I, we talk about it all the time. Like, we feel like everybody should do a retail job.
Yeah.
For at least a few years in their life, whether in high school or early 20s, just to realize and learn how you should treat people when you go into those establishments, because they get shit on.
Right.
A lot of retail people, because people have bad days and they take it out on them. So I feel like as a rite of passage, you should work in retail.
So you learn how to take it from people.
Yeah, and
being shit on.
Not that, but like when I walk into retail now, I don't bust anybody's chops. I respect every person that hands me something, asks me a question, helps me out. I know they could be having a crap day. They could have just dealt with a bad customer. Yeah. And you can make that person's day just by saying, please, thank you, and have a good one. Right. And they'll appreciate that.
Don't you think that's a little bit of a missing thing, though, in retail? Like, how many people, like, when I took my sons to a Sixers basketball game a few weeks ago. And at that game, I couldn't believe how nice everyone treated us. Like my kid, like the people that work there. Yeah. It's not a typical thing in retail or out anymore. Like people that are friendly, especially in Berks County. Like, believe it or not, like it's like known where around here everybody's a little bit mean to you. Like we're close enough to Philly where everybody's mean. Like Philly was known
Philly's
to be mean. You know,
They're mean.
Scalpers don't even want to go to Philly to sell tickets
Yeah, I
because
only
they
saw
don't like
one yesterday.
What's that?
That makes sense. I only saw one yesterday.
That's it, man. They don't want to go there and deal with Philly people. But yeah, like dealing with people is awesome in retail. So you're in a band, you're making the flyers. I also know you were making MySpace pages, badass MySpace pages. Jake still wants one. Like, so if he's trying to up his MySpace. Is MySpace still around?
It still exists. It's nothing like it used to be, but it still exists.
No way.
Yeah, you can try to log in and look at your old profile.
You can?
It's nothing what it looked like, but it's there.
Oh wow, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
That'll make me feel bad now.
Yeah, I deleted like, my shit.
I didn't have to color my beard back then.
I didn't have a beard.
I didn't either.
I didn't have a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made MySpace pages. Those were fun.
I bet.
That was I cut my teeth. That was like I guess the beginning of realizing I could probably do this for myself.
What year was that?
2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. You know, I was making them for like Five Finger Death Punch. Was like my biggest one. Black Dahlia Murder, Earth Crisis.
Really?
You know, yeah.
What'd you make to make Five Finger Death Punch's MySpace page?
My wife took care of it.
You don't even know.
Because Jill messaged all the bands, and my wife's a looker. Okay, she's a looker, so she's got a beautiful profile picture.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Hey, we would love to do your MySpace over like to big bands. We never charged them.
Yeah,
we just wanted to have the clout."
Mm-hmm.
So she started with these bands, and then she just raised up the, went up the chart, and then she was asked him, and the guitar player, Zoltan, was like, "Well, what can you do?" And so we showed him, and he loved it, and we launched it, and we put our little logo on there. Because back then you would look for who made the page if it was really tight, and they would click on it and find us and go, "Hey, why don't you make ours?" And we would be like, "Yeah." We had like different packages for pricing, and bands were just all day long. We were just banging out MySpace
but
pages.
You got to tell me, like, how much did it cost to create a MySpace page, roughly?
Time, man.
$30 an hour, $50 an hour?
I charge people anywhere from $250 to $850.
This is great.
Yeah, man.
In the middle of the recession.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, because bands don't care about that stuff. You're
right.
trying to hit a market that's like recession-proof, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in a band and you're trying to achieve a dream, you're gonna do whatever it takes. You know.
So you didn't have any skills as far as Photoshop, or you at that time you're just coming from Sam Goody, you're working there and you're doing this like as a side hustle, or you decided?
Well,
we went to
Florida. We left New York because it was too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife, we made a decision to move to Florida. Her dad lived in Florida, and he had a restaurant in a hotel. And he was like, "Yeah, we'll hire you, and we have jobs or whatever." 2 weeks after I got down there, because she was there earlier than me, the place closed down. It got shut down by the hotel that it was inside of, and had no jobs. So my wife took a crappy pharmacy telemarketing kind of job.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Maybe you should try doing this, like see what you can make out of it."
Yeah.
And started with MySpace pages, and then we built it up enough in a year that we were able to move to Pennsylvania.
Get out.
Yeah,
that's an awesome story. So you're building just MySpace pages for 12 months.
Yeah.
And you do well enough to say, "Okay, we're getting out of here." What part of PA did you move to, and what year?
I moved to Wyomissing, 2009, the week of Halloween. My wife did a lot of research. She's a big researcher.
Yeah.
We actually weren't going to move here first. We were going to move somewhere north, maybe Scranton or something. And we were getting ready to put the down payment on.
Atwell.
And it got rented out from underneath us like the next day.
So you're meant to
So my wife was like, "Well, they have this other place on my list called Wyomissing." And we were like, "All right, let's check it out." So we went south, and the second we got here, we were like, "What? It's not bad around here. It's nice."
Yeah.
And we saw the apartments. There were the Victoria apartments off of State Hill. And we liked the vibe. And then we went to the Olive Garden, like right over there, right?
Yeah.
By Home Depot.
You're
And
like,
we
"I
go
love
have
this
a
place."
meal, right? Well, no, it's just, Olive Garden, whatever. The waitress was there. We were like, "Hey, can we ask you a question? Can you sit down with us for a couple minutes?" She's like, "Yeah." We're like, "All right, would you live here or would you live in Scranton or whatever it was?"
She's like,
And she was like, "Well, it's nice up there, but there's not a lot of things to do." She's like, but here it's nice and there's a lot of stuff to do. So if you want to be able to do things and like go shopping and stuff like that, you want to move here. Mm-hmm. So based off of a waitress at Olive Garden.
What was her name?
I don't remember.
Come on, man.
Sorry.
That
but
isn't right.
Just, we moved to
You're
YMSA.
famous in Berks County, and you can't even give the girl that kept you here a shout out.
I love all these dudes. I don't remember half their names. I've met them so many times. I know Connor. I know that's Jake because you just said Jake.
That's it. That's it. Right. Where's he at?
Right.
Where's he at? He's at.
And that's it. I know Brandon because I just met him. That's all. I'm sorry. Steve, it's nothing personal.
Steve in the corner over there.
He goes, nothing personal, man. I can't remember shit. You know, so
personal.
It's funny, but that's like a real thing though, because I use a CPAP and I have like high blood pressure, and my wife does a lot of research, and she's like, you're on your way to like have like potentially like Alzheimer's and shit.
Yeah. So
like I think it's starting.
Is she gonna take care of you if you have Alzheimer's?
I don't know. I won't know.
I won't know.
So there's that. And I got that going. for me.
Which is nice.
Yeah, like I wouldn't. I'll wake up, be like,
"Who are you?"
Right.
Like, then you get to do it tomorrow.
What are we
again.
doing today?
Yeah.
It's like,
wiping your ass. That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, talk about Fred as a little Fred. Was there ever a little Fred?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you weren't just born with a big beard. Like you always think about that. Like you had to be born with that beard and the glasses. They came out together.
No, they came. There was a gradual thing. The beard, the glasses, the haircut was all gradual.
Talk about Freddie as a kid, man. I know the story, but like tell
Freddie as a kid was rough, man. It was rough. It sucked.
Okay.
You know, you're a chubby kid, Catholic school, Queens. You know, you love rock music, but you're surrounded by urban. So you like listen to rap because you have to, because you don't want to get your ass kicked.
Okay.
Half the time. But it was a lot of bullying. You know, I talked about this last time. It was a lot of bullying, a lot of bad shit happened. Hated that school. Children are cruel, man. You know, it was one of the main things I taught my daughters growing up was like, I remember one day they were at the house or they were making fun of some kid, like to themselves in my dining room. And I yelled at them right away. I was like, don't you ever make fun of these kids in school, man, ever. I was like, because I grew up being ridiculed for fucking 8 years. 8 years of bullshit, 8 years of people fucking. Fat kid and, you know, making fun of me, my haircut. You know, my dad was old school, so he put the part, which is funny because I fucking cut a part in my hair now. But like old school style with like the hair and the part over.
Yeah.
And I hated that shit. And they made fun of me for that, you know, and I told him, like, your father was literally ridiculed for years, you know, made fun of, bullied, beat up, go through the fucking list, you know, and I was very, you know, mad at that point in time. I let them know they shouldn't do that because it's cruel, man. You know, you leave a lot of scars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, children don't understand that, so it's kind of just, it's shitty because they're still kids.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean anything because, like, you already have it. So, like, to this day, I don't do certain things. Like, even, like, eating that meal right there was hard. But I'm comfortable here.
Yeah.
Where, like, I don't know if you've noticed a few times I was here, I never ate.
Right.
Because I was afraid. I'm afraid of being judged half the time.
Dude, I love you no matter what.
I understand that. That's why I'm like. That's why I had some of King David. You know? So,
we ate King David tonight. Yes, he likes that.
But that's not a normal thing for me. Yeah. Is to meet, especially new people. I'll never eat in front of them. Yeah. Because I'm afraid they're gonna judge me the second I start eating. Yeah. You know, because like right through your mind, you just start going through all those things.
Which is wild because you have a very strong. Freddie's super charismatic, super strong personality. Obviously, you can tell he's a great speaker, great person. But you have a very, I don't care what anybody thinks, attitude in so many other things. Like, you do what you do with a level of charisma and confidence that got you to be who you are at FXV Digital.
Yeah.
So, you know, that level of that little kid in there is still hurting. That's a whole different topic. We might have to go in my office.
Oh, my therapist is trying to get me to go to that.
What's that?
Like to find the inner child.
Yeah, he's gonna come. Freddie's gonna come to the next retreat. Jake's like, we're not doing this. Yeah, next retreat, we're gonna do a little psychodrama. I'm gonna have you act out little Freddy, and like I'm gonna put Jake in front of you. You're just gonna start punching. I'll take one for the team. Jake said,
"No way, man,
not doing it. You don't want to open that can."
It's funny because I don't know what to do about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because she keeps bringing me back to when I was a kid, and my dad was pretty strict. I love my dad. We have a great relationship. Me and my pops, man. Like I just saw him like 3 or 4 weeks ago. The best part of that weekend was me and my dad were sitting at the kitchen table for like maybe half an hour to 45 minutes, finally just talking. And it was great. I remember that. It was just nice to sit there with my dad. But the point being is she wants to bring it back, right? And she wants to be like, well, your dad was so hard on you. I'm like, yes, he was. Mm-hmm. So why don't we talk about that? I'm like, why? Why do I want to bring up the way my dad was? My dad hit me, but it wasn't like he was beating me. He's a Spanish man from South America, Ecuador, and he spanks you with a belt. Like that's what they did. And I don't hold that against him because I'm not I'm not weak.
Did you deserve it?
Yeah, I did some dumb shit, for sure. I did dumbass shit and you get hit. That's the way it goes. Nowadays,
it wasn't abuse, it was discipline.
It was not abuse. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was discipline. But I never I should start using that word. It sounds better, discipline. Yeah, for sure. But but then she's like, but your dad didn't support this or he didn't support that. I'm like, yeah, because my dad was like 30 something with 4 kids and he's trying to make sure we come up right. And anyway, I just don't want to go back there. So it's just like weird for me. She keeps trying to bring me down that road.
Well, so in order to go forward with emotions and that part of life, you have to go back and feel little Fred. And we just did this, right, guys? Like a lot of you, we did this at the retreat. We did psychodrama where the guys would act out a certain situation and they'd put themselves in that situation. Anybody want to share how intense? It was some of them were crazy intense. You go back to that situation and what you do is, you're in that situation, okay, and I'd say, okay, now who in the room is mom? And believe it or not, they'll pick a person that resembles mom a lot. Guess what? Jake was mom all the time and everything, mom or sister. It was really wild. I know he did say that. He was like, why is everybody picking me as the sister?
He's cute.
Yeah, he is pretty. You then set the stage and I lead you in this manner of dealing with the things, and then we create an emotional situation in it, very emotional, and all of a sudden there's screaming, there's hysterical crying, there's chaos, there's the whole room is yelling, and it is powerful, and it creates breakthrough, and that's what she's trying to do in a certain way. I think we just do it all at once. There were some of them took 2.5 hours, the vignettes. Some vignettes at all of them took at least 2 hours. Some 2 to 3 hours with one person to work through a situation of pain. And once you deal with the pain, then you can forgive and then you can move past. But you got to go back in order to deal with it. So you're coming to the retreat next time, okay?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
That sounds heavy, dude.
It's extremely heavy, and it's extremely productive, though, Freddie. So you.
I understand. I believe you.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I'm emotionally ready to go there.
Right.
I only just started doing therapy, so.
So let's talk about that. I was going to wait till later, as this kind of moves into it. About a year ago, you reach out to me. We're here or somewhere else, and you're like, hey, man, I'm struggling. And I remember having that conversation with you, and a couple days later, I decided to stop by.
Oh yeah.
Your office and I walk in, and I could see the look on Fred's face was different. When I come in, I come in the door, and Fred I hear him coming out, and he's like, "Yo," I get that "yo" or "what's up" from his office, and I get a big bear hug, and it was just different energy. There was different energy. You were hurting, and I want you to. This is a safe place, and that's why I asked your permission. You were battling some depression, right?
Yeah.
You were battling some issues there. Talk about it, man. You're like you said, you're a strong guy. Mm-hmm. You don't want to admit weakness. Mm-hmm. But talk about this, man.
So my daughter is a big part of my life, man. I spent a lot of time trying to, have her around. Story goes is, I had my kid, wasn't planned, and her mom's a piece of work. It's just, I'll leave it at that. And, for years I had to make a lot of sacrifices, as far as like travel.
Mm-hmm.
I went to court in New York is the worst. I was only allowed to see her every other Sunday for 6 hours. And the funny thing was I took the mom to court too. It wasn't like a mom taking a dad to court. I was taking her to court, And it took 3 judges. By the 3rd judge, they finally realized, oh, wait, Mr. Vásquez, you took her to court. I'm like, hallelujah. That's in the paperwork,
It's in the paperwork.
But like they're like, oh, this father actually wants to be part of this child's life, And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not here just, for my health. So every other Sunday for 6 hours, and then I put in a request to see her more, and they said no. So I was denied more time with my kid. Part of that was because her mom said I threw her down the stairs. Mm-hmm. So like I had an order of protection on me. Cops came to my house, like the whole thing, and the cops didn't even second guess it because she was like this tall,
right?
And I'm like a big dude. So like, of course he threw her down the stairs because look at them, like. So that had to be part of it. So anyway, you deal with that for a while, and then as she got older, I realized that the mom was still young. So I would just be like, hey, you know what? You could have weekends off, and I'll just take her every weekend. She was like, yeah, fine, of course, take her. Because she wanted her life, and I didn't care. I just took Ange every weekend. So every weekend I had Ange. And then I had to move to Florida. I felt bad about doing that. I felt guilty. I still feel guilty about that. I won't even lie to you. Still. Because I left my kid in New York, but I couldn't afford to live in New York anymore. It was just really hard, man. I mean, I literally was like paying child support, health care, daycare. I was 23, 24, I don't even know, like all those years of that. But I came back every month. I flew back every month to see my kid. And then we were only gone for a year, and I came back to Pennsylvania, and I started that drive again. So I went from Wyomissing, Pennsylvania to Ronkonkoma, Long Island. And Ronkonkoma's far on Long Island. Like, if like this is the island, and if this is going west to east, it's like here. It's far. And I did it every weekend, and I didn't care. Did it every weekend and saw her every weekend. And she actually moved to Pennsylvania, her mom and her. And then, which was crazy, but she did it. And then she wanted to go back to New York, and that's when I asked Ange, I'm like, do you want me to get involved? And she said, yeah. So this was about 13, 14. And I was able to go to court and get primary custody of Ange, which was like one of the happiest days of my life. Because I really didn't even like expect that ever, And I give a lot of thanks to my friend Russ. He's my lawyer. And he was like, let's just go for it. What's the worst that he says no, But I got primary custody because I could prove like I was stable and all those good things. And he talked to Ange and asked. Ange actually, I think, said she wanted to have stability. So then now I have Ange from like 14 till what she left when she was 18. So like for 4 solid years in my house, and trying my best to be a good dad. Doing the things I'm supposed to do, and I'm not perfect. You don't get a manual when you have a kid. There's no dad manual. Sometimes you lose your patience, so anyway, it started getting rough near the end. Like Ange was like, I can't wait to get out of this house and all that stuff. And I was like, well, listen, you're 18. You're 18. I'm not going to stop you. But if you think life is like social media, like all these great things you watch, you're in for a treat, So what happened, I was working one day at the office, and Jill comes, she either called me or showed up, and she was like, hey, listen, I'm just going to break it to you now. While you're working, your kid's leaving. So I was at work, and she moved out of the house. She had 2 of her friends come or something. They had a truck, took all of her stuff, left. And I got home, and it was just an empty room. Just like that.
And how long ago was that?
2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 2 years ago I was dealing with that, and it's just like, fuck, dude. That's where a lot of my sadness comes from. It's all from there.
Yeah.
That's not my job. It's not my wife. It's not my other daughter, Adri. It's Ange, straight up, So like, it's like you do all these things and you don't know who to talk to. You don't know. You talk to your wife, talk to your mom. They tell you everything, is not your fault. But then you sit there and go, well, is it not my fault? Because you're not going to tell me it is your fault.
Right.
It's like when I tell everybody this, I'm like, you go see your friend's band play, they're probably terrible. You guys are so good. It's like they sucked. What I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like they're not going to sit there and hurt your feelings because they know you're down, man. They know you're down and out. So that was the beginning of it. And then I tried to you still talk to your kid and stuff and make sure she's all right. So then I got her a job. I hired her to work for me. Mm-hmm. After she said she was like working at these other places and things weren't working out. I was like, listen, I'll pay you to work for me. You could do like anything literally, and I would pay her. And it was just me being selfish at the same time. I mean, I don't know if it was the best idea, but I got to see my kid every day, and I knew she had money. I knew she could pay the bills, and she was okay. So we did that for a while, and then she just, just started taking advantage of the situation. I think she knew, like, it's my dad, so what's he going to do, and she would just...
And he feels guilty.
Right, he feels guilty, and I think she knew that. I think she knew that. I don't think she's a stupid kid. And she would just take advantage of, like, coming in late, and I'd have to reprimand her, and then one week she just decided she was going on a vacation. And I was like, okay, I was like, whatever, let her go on vacation. And then the thing that made me snap was when I was like, listen, you scheduled this video to go up on YouTube because, we do marketing. And I was like, it's wrong. There's a big dead space in it. I was like, can you just fix that and throw it up, and we'll be good. And she just wrote back. She's like, I'm on vacation. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe you should just find another job when you're done with your vacation. And she's like, okay, and then that was the end of that. So I let her go, I had to fire her, and I think I said that here, or I let you know here,
you let
one
me
of those
know.
morning meetings.
You came to a breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast, and we did that. And then it was just terrible after that. Didn't really get any better. It was just, you always worry about your kid. Did I do the right thing? And then, just a lot of just like fucking anger and sadness and her just making me feel bad. And I just sat there going, yeah, well, I guess it was my fault. I didn't do everything I could. I guess I didn't do a good job. I guess I was a shitty dad. You just go through all the motions and, and I'm just like, and it sucked because then after that all went down, dude, I just didn't care about anything. I didn't give a fuck. I mean, I was on 75 hard last year, dude. I lost like 40 pounds. It's all back. And extra, because I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I didn't care. I'm just gonna do whatever I want. I have no desire for anything. And my wife's sitting there just like, she's not angry or anything. I mean, she just feels terrible.
Yeah. I remember that in our conversation. I left there, and we talked for a while, and I could just tell that you were like checked out. Like you.
Yeah, I was.
Not much. I think I visited you like right in the middle of it, where you were like, screw life, like you were pointing at everything and reliving everything, and that's really what depression is typically, is going backwards, is paging back. We do that here. When you page back and you look back and you sit there, how long you sit there decides to me how long the depression will last. And you were playing back all the things that you thought you did wrong in order to make sense of what was going on now.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Like,
yeah, I was just thinking about everything I did wrong.
Yep, and the truth is, it really doesn't matter because we're all so human. We all make big mistakes every day, and we're all like super broken. And like the paging back, I don't know, except in a situation of a therapeutic situation to go forward, like it just ate you up. Like, describe that feeling, bro. Like, describe that depressive feeling for yourself.
Oh,
like,
it's terrible.
What was it?
You want to cry all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to cry constantly. Like, that's it. You feel the welling up, and I'm just like, stop that shit. You're a fucking man. What are you doing? And then, and I'm like, don't be doing that, bro. You know, and that's the other thing. I just don't get into that shit. You know, that's just like that's a me thing. I'm not saying I don't judge anybody for doing that.
You did the day I was there. I just want you to know that.
What?
You did cry the day I was there, and it was cool that you were crying about it, and that was.
Yeah, it's just shitty, man. I was like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, you know, like I did all this stuff. I thought I was doing it right. I thought I figured out, you know, but at the same time, I wasn't going to give in to the bullshit anymore, you know? So I had to do what I had to do, and it was hard to do it. But that feeling was, I tell people all the time, you know, I never really had depression until last year. You know, I know sometimes I might throw the word around. People might be like, "Oh, I was so depressed for like a day." It's like, no, you fucking weren't. You have no idea what that is. You know, and then I had it. You know, and I don't know if I'm even really out of it 100% yet.
Big difference.
Yeah, I'm better.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm where I was, but, you know, yeah, you just want to cry all the time, dude. And you start second guessing everything, and all you do is worry about everybody else. You never worry about yourself. I'm like, is my wife okay? Is my other kid okay? Are my clients okay? Are my friends okay?
Yep.
You know, like, you know, you just worry about everybody else and go through the list, and then when it's time to do something for yourself, you're just like,
no more energy.
No, just done.
Yep.
You know?
But what I notice with people is all that energy expended into another person is for self in depression typically. Like it's about like you want this feeling to be different, and you want that person to stop doing what they're doing and get back to what works for you. Like that's kind of a simplified way to put it, but like in my opinion, like depression, anxiety are like a really fine line to me, where like if things aren't going your way, and that's really what it's about. Like if it's not going my way in this way, I'm going to use depression. And if it's not going my way in the future, and I don't know what's going to happen my way in the future, I have anxiety. And those two are like a really fine line. But in the end, to me, it's a big expectation thing. Like we expect things to be a certain way, and when they're not, it ends up really hurting. And what I think a lot of times it's from past pains. You know, because our heart can only take so much, Freddie. Like if you have little Fred in there that's still hurting from the abuse he took, like our heart can only take so much. And then when we start piling things on it, we go left or right, and we kind of get off of that beaten path of peace and joy. You know, so dealing with that stuff and getting it out of there, and what I've been saying a lot lately, I love this, is getting it in front of us. Like because if it's in here, it's eating at us. It's killing us and rattling around in my brain. But when I write it down and I get above it and I can actually see things, like that's it. And dealing with all that stuff. And I've noticed a big difference in you from a year ago to now. And how are things today? Like how?
It's all right. You know, I think the therapy helps because it's somebody that has no vested interest in you. And I mean that in the sense of like, they don't know you. They're not your buddy. They're not your family member. They're not going to bullshit you. Like if you're doing some dumbass shit, they're going to tell you, you know, and that's what she told me. She was like, you know, what's up? You know, which is so weird to start a conversation with a therapist. You know, because you're like the first one. You're like, so,
you
she's
sit
like,
down
so what's
for that
up?
uncomfortable silence.
Yeah, and I'm just like, everything, you know?
Everything.
So, but, you know, she doesn't lie to me. So she's just like, you know, like, this is what you're going through, and this is how it is, and why do you feel this way, and why do you feel that way? Tell me more about your mom, you know, like shit like that, you know?
Yep.
But, you know, it's all, I'm doing better. You know, but the thing that you were just talking about before, you know, like, you know, going back to little Freddie and all that shit. Well, the funny thing is the bullying thing sucked, and I deal with that every day. I'm like used to that. It's almost like, yeah, it sucked, but whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
The Ange thing is different, you know, because it's like you literally spend like 18, 19, 20 years of your life trying to make sure this person's okay, and they literally just like say, fuck you. You
so
know?
I've you know, I don't know if you remember, but I've been there. So I
told me slightly.
I lived without my oldest in my life for years and years. You know, where things weren't the way they should have been. And I know what you're thinking. Like, I know that feeling of failure as a dad, and what you did, and how did I do this, and was this right, and that, and I lived that. I get it. So I just want you to know, like I understand. I spent like these guys know, like all these guys know, it was like 5-6 years that I didn't have her in my life the way that I wanted to. But the only way that I like got better and did what I needed to do is, and it's so cliche, is gratitude. Like, she's alive, she's healthy, she's not living in some horrible places. I would say all these things like, okay, and that means I'll have an opportunity to have my daughter in my life when she gets okay and has whatever she needs to deal with. So I made sure that I was like thankful about the little things, that she's okay today. And I see and I hear from people that she's doing this and she's doing that and she's thriving here. Okay, I'm thankful that she's just healthy. Like, there were days where you can feel, I know that empty feeling, dude, of failure as a dad. I know that. But here's the deal. Not you're look, I know what I did. Like, all of Berks County knows what I did. It's not like a secret of the major screw ups I made 15 plus years ago, and who I was, and the piece of crap that I was, and the scumbag that I was. So, like, knowing all the things you did, like, it was like, it's this shot right here.
Yeah.
But like, you cannot go backwards. Like, and I don't need to. Like, again, like, you're doing great things. Freddie, he's like one of the most giving people I know. Talk about the toy drive, man, and what you do, just so these people understand who you are, man.
Awesome Toy Drive is I started in 2019 because I had the opportunity to buy a building for my business, so I own my building on Penn Avenue, and I was like, well, I got to give back to universe. The universe delivers. Like, I grew up a Catholic for 20-something years, and then I let it go. I was like, I'm not a Catholic anymore. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I don't believe.
You're not going to offend anybody.
Yeah, I don't believe in, like, the Bible. I just believe in spirituality. Like, there's something out there. At least I hope so, because this would be a waste of time. For me at least, But I'm like, there's something happening. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's in a book. I don't think it has rules and regulations. Mm-hmm. Like, my mom yelled at me for having meat on Friday. And I was like, sorry, Ma, if God puts me down for that, then I'm good. Like,
down.
It's like, he likes steak. He's got to like steak.
He's got to like steak.
Who doesn't like steak, right? So whatever. So anyway, spirituality, I'm like, you know what? You got to be thankful. Like, things align, things happen. So I love kids, and I'm like, I always want to help kids, and they get a bad rap because kids can't control things. They can't. We can. We're adults. Kids really don't have that opportunity. So I'm friends with, like, Olivet and Concern and Children's Home of Reading, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna collect toys for kids. And I remember that first day I announced it. I was like, I'm looking to get 20 gifts for 20 kids, and I put that post up and I threw it out into the world, and I was terrified. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy one. Joe's gonna buy one. Age is gonna buy one. Angie's gonna buy one. So I only need 16. So I'm going to hit my goal of 20 quick. Hopefully I will. And within hours, it was gone.
Right.
People were like, okay, we're done. I'm like, all right, sweet. So I write, like, Concern. I'm like, do you have any more names? They're like, yeah, we got more names. So we got, like, 20 more names. And then we got 40 more names. And then we ended up collecting 150 gifts that first year, which was pretty cool. I was like, all right, 150 gifts, man, from 20 to 150. So then the next year, I was like, well, we're going to do 300. We have to do 300. But this time I actually got local businesses involved, where I was like, listen, let me put a tree up in your place, put like those little ornaments on there. But the cool thing is that it's not like Toys for Tots or something national, which I think is great organizations. I love them all. But I wanted to help out Berks County, because Berks County took me in, dude. I'm a New Yorker, like I'm not from here, I'm an outsider, so for Berks County to take me in and, like, make me a part of their community and help me build my business and help use my services so I can provide for my family. I was like, it's only right that I do this. So I went to all these businesses and dropped off a tree with ornaments on them. And the second year, we did 640. So 640. And then last year, this past season, I got COVID, which fucking sucked, man. Because I couldn't make videos. I couldn't push it hard. I was just out. But I still delivered all these trees around the area, got all the ornaments out.
So you're the reason that everybody had COVID.
Yeah, it was me. It was my fault.
COVID Santa.
I know exactly when I got COVID, too. I got it from my client. I was so pissed. But we were able to collect 900-something gifts. My goal was 1,200, though.
Yeah.
But I got close to 1,000, and I was kind of perturbed because I was like, man, if it wasn't for COVID,
right,
I would have destroyed that shit. But the point being is, we started with just Concern, then we added Children's Home in Reading, then we added Olivet Boys and Girls Club. These poor kids, I know we all have issues here, and I know you guys are going through some stuff, and I'm happy that you guys are here and getting help. But these kids, man, you get these lists because they ask them, hey, why don't you let us know what you want? Hey, write a list. This organization is going to try to help get it for you. And you have people asking for toiletry bags and backpacks and wife beaters, socks. And I talked to the organization one day. I'm like, why do they want backpacks and toiletry bags? I could get these guys toys. They're like, because they keep all their stuff in garbage bags. And they know they're going to get moved again. So they want to have at least one thing that's their own. So they want a backpack and a toiletry bag to keep their toothbrushes and stuff in because they know they're going to get moved again. They're just waiting for it, and I'm just like, Then you got this one kid, and Jill helps me with the organization of this now because if it wasn't for Jill, it wouldn't be this organized because I'm a mess. But she's going through the list, and she's like, she looks at me and she's just here. I just want my mom to be happy. And it's like, fuck. You know what I mean, man? And you sit there and it's just hours of this, hours of just, and how do you not do it?
Right.
So that's the thing. So I do Awesome Toy Drive. I play Santa. I play Santa for special needs kids. Let me tell you, I will go to my grave with that. The first year I did that, special needs kid walks in, and I'm playing Santa. I'm quiet because it's sensory Santa. Because it's called sensory Santa because it's to be in a quiet environment. They can't have a lot of noise and stuff. That's why they don't go to the malls and visit Santa. They can't. So I'm really quiet. I'm just like, hey, how you doing? Come on over. This kid comes over, looks at me, got the biggest eyes. And he puts his hand out and he touches my finger to see if I'm real. So he just goes like this. And then he just starts smiling at me. And I was like, oh, Fred, don't fucking cry, man. Don't do it. And I well up a little bit thinking about it even now. And the kids are having fun. We take the photos, they leave. And Dr. Jason, my buddy Dr. Jason, he walks in, he's like, how you doing, man? I was like, I fucking almost lost it, bro. I was like, yeah, it's close, It's doing stuff like that. I love doing stuff like that. I love writing back kids. Kids leave letters at my house. Now they leave them at my office. Kevin and the fellas, they put this big red mailbox in front of my place. My parents helped me get a mailbox. They worked for the post office. They just retired. They got me a mailbox. Reading truck and body did me a favor and painted it red.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Kevin and the fellas put it in my place. And we collect letters from Santa, and I write back every kid. I wrap my hands in peppermint oil, essential oils. So I rub my hands in it, and I write the letters out, and I sign them, and I just rub the letter.
That's awesome.
I'm such a nerd.
A perfectionist nerd, though.
They open,
when
they open it smells like peppermint. So the kids are like, fuck, yo. So I think we lost. What's up, man? There you go.
He's there.
So, but it brings me joy to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't tell the stories to be like, oh, Fred's a great guy. Fuck that. I love the way I feel when I give back. Like, that's what makes me almost like get out of bed. That's why my wife is the most precious thing I have on this planet. You know, so like whenever she wants to do something, or if I can bring her along with something, or whatever the case is, I do it because I like the way it makes me feel to see her happy, or to see her know that I appreciate her. Because like even I took her to the game yesterday. She's like, "Why do you want me to go?" Or like, "Why do you like talking to me?" Or "Why do you want to make sure you're home to speak to me at the end of the day?" You know, and I'm like, because I love every second I'm with her.
Yeah.
You know, a guy makes me feel good to be with her and to see her happy. And like, you know, that's why I like to do a lot of things. Like when you ask me for things, I do them.
Yeah.
Because I like to see you guys happy. I like to see like, so I love helping. It's like a drug. Sorry for the term, but I mean, it is what it is. It's like I really just enjoy. Like I would rather, like for me, that's like almost like an addiction to where it hurts to an extent, because my good friend Michael Cowker gave me a book.
Michael, he spoke here.
Did he?
Yeah, just about a month ago.
Yeah, that's my boy right there. He was like, "Freddie, I wanted to give you this book." It says, "When Giving Hurts." You know, he's like, "You need to read this, man," because I'm terrible. I will. 2 years ago, I actually spent too much money. I spent a lot of money. Yeah, it's just fucking money. Money comes and goes. You know, like who cares? You know, it's just. But it's to the point where they were just like, "Bro, like, you gotta pay your bills, dude." You know, like, so it's like, oh, my bad. You know, but I'm just like, I just give.
Did you read the book?
No. I don't read anything.
So that book is kind of saying the hurt is getting distributed to the people you're giving to. So just so you know, I know that book, and I know Michael and I share like the same attitude about giving and over giving, and what it does to people cripples them. You know, anybody hear that before in here? Did you? She stared.
It makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah,
it makes total sense.
Yeah, but like not to little kids that, you know, have that their parents have made choices to be able to not give anything to them and things like that. But you know, like you're talking about, it's so cool the way this discussion went. You're talking about depression and how you feel, and your energy shifted, okay, when you were talking about the depression and what hurts and what you're going through. And when you started to talk about giving and serving, your energy changed again to more smiles, and you were different. And I'm going to watch this to see if I can see where the shift was. But I think everybody here, all these guys here, will say like the antidote for selfish, okay, and don't get offended, but there's a piece of selfish connected to depression in my point of view, and there's a piece of selfish connected to anxiety. The antidote for anything selfish is service. And you feel good because you get out of you. You feel good because you're not thinking about you and what you want and how you want it in the moment. And you don't have time for that if you're dressing up as Santa and running around delivering trees and having your peppermint oil and writing all these letters. That's time-consuming things that serve. And that's what these guys get to do. That, like, you walk in the doors here, you have purpose. The second you come off the street from getting high and being the most selfish person on earth, taken from your parents, taken from your friends, your wife. I took from everybody. I stole time from my kids. I stole everything from everybody. And when you walk in here and you get to be around another dude and you get to serve him by cooking for him or listening to him when he's hurting or sitting down and talking to him or doing anything for somebody else, all of a sudden that stuff lifts. And I really believe that when we start doing that instead of giving somebody a pill right away, and we start talking about exercise, like you said, the 75 hard, you start talking about exercise, the intake of food you have, the amount of water you're drinking in a day, but most importantly, there's a reason that solitary confinement makes people crazy, and it's a punishment. Like when we start talking and talk in a transparent, vulnerable way, and don't say, hey, stuff that back down. You're not allowed to do that, tough guy. You're weak. all these things happen in an open environment. And I think that's the real answer for depression and anxiety is community. I think the opposite of addiction is connection. It's all these things that you described, and your whole energy changed, dude. And he is like, this isn't just some put on. Like Freddy has been the first thing I met him. He says, I got to get to know you. That's what he says to me at a at a meeting, and says, come by my office tomorrow. And he's right down where I grew up, like literally 3 minutes from where I grew up. And he's like, I want to help you. Doesn't even know me. I want to help you with a website. I want to help. Everybody needs to know what you're doing, and everybody needs to know you. And you were that's just in you. And I look up to you with that, dude. Like, you don't have to do any of that. Like, you inspire all of us with this toy drive, dude. Like, it is. If you don't follow Freddy, like, look up Freddy on Facebook on FXV Digital, or is it your
I have a personal thing now. I try to just I hope to like let this all go, like the business in 7 years.
Okay.
And to just be like consultant, philanthropy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I started like my own page, so you can like follow me there. You can follow the Awesome Toy Drive. You can follow the business.
Yeah.
Follow me though. Business is boring. It's just fucking marketing.
He's really good at it though. He's really, really good at it. And his office is awesome. And so we're gonna end with a question. And you remember that question? Yeah, it's 8:02 already. That flew by.
Yeah.
If you had an audience of lost, broken 16-year-olds in front of you, and you had 1 minute to tell them something that could change their life, what would you tell them?
Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody, especially if you know a strong person. Because the one thing I realize is when I talk to strong people and you let them know what's happening, they'll open up 9 times out of 10 and go, you know what? That's interesting because I was in the same situation. And I realized that during COVID. The strongest people I knew during COVID were the ones suffering the most. Just because remember in the beginning of COVID, and it wasn't all political. Everybody was just worried about everybody, and you were like calling people, like, "Yeah, man, how you doing, man? You all right? Is everything going on well?" And you talk to all these people that you thought were so strong, and they're going through the shit. So talk to somebody, and try to find a person that maybe, you're not so, I don't know, connected with. I would, which is, I know it sounds kind of hard, but it's just talk to somebody for sure and let it out and just get their real opinions on things. And if they're a strong person, I definitely would go to them and see what they tell you about, your situation, and listen and see what you can get out of it. Because you'd be surprised that talking to strong people it'll change things. It'll give you a different perspective. Even like when Kev came over that day and just talked to me for a little bit. And he was telling me about his life and like what I need to do and like how things are, and and the one thing he did tell me near the whole thing was like, I understand. He was like, I get it. Wasn't judging me, was just listening, and sometimes when you can just talk to even Kevin, because Kevin's a good friend of mine. He's not my wife. He's not my mom. He's not my kid. So I'm not worried about, any of the family stuff. I know I could tell this guy some crazy shit and he'll just be like, all right, bro, well, that blows, but this is what we should do about it. So that's what I would say is, look for a strong person or somebody that you can trust, and just fucking talk their ear off, because if they're really, invested in you and they want to help you, they'll sit there and listen.
I love the piece that you said in the beginning there, and you said it over to me. You said, find a strong person, and you said something to me that said when a strong person gets vulnerable and transparent, it's really inspiring, isn't it? So when you perceive somebody as a strong personality and strong, and when they say, okay, I'm gonna put away the strong, and I'm going to become weak for you, that's a huge win. And I hope you guys caught that, and I hope you hear that. Like when somebody that is perceived as strong shares their pain and shares their their kind of struggle and is transparent about it and maybe sheds a tear with you and maybe feels that with you and allows their walls to come down and say, hey, like, this is the pain I've been through, then all of a sudden that pain is now, a shared pain is now half a pain. You got 50% of that pain because you're both feeling it, and it kind of diminishes. And that's it. Like, that's the piece, everybody. Like, if everybody could just, I heard something a little while ago that said if everybody could just slow down enough to feel somebody else's point of view and how they feel and hear them and not judge them and not get angry because you and I don't agree on the faith thing, right?
No.
I'm a believer. That does not mean I don't love him to death. That does not mean if you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna be there. But our world, dude, is just full of these people that it's more about not being transparent and vulnerable. It's about being right and being better. And I like how you put that, where it's about, go to somebody strong, and when you see a strong person get vulnerable and get weak, they now become even stronger to you. So I hope you guys hear that. Like we have this perception in the world of what a man was supposed to be, and I've been that guy. Like, a man's supposed to be tough, supposed to be able to take a punch, supposed to be all do these things. But from Freddy, a guy that doesn't want himself to cry and says, "Don't be weak. Get your wake the F up." And you're saying, go find somebody that's strong, that gets weak for you, to become even more inspirational and more motivating, and that's really cool, man.
Yeah, it lets you know it's okay, man.
Yeah,
that's really what it is. It lets you know it's okay and that you're not so weak yourself, man. We're all humans.
Yep,
we're all in the same boat, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, well, I love you, man.
Love you,
and
brother.
I hope you come back here for dinner and bring the wife and bring whoever else you want and enjoy this on Thursday. Let's give it up for Freddy and let's get some music on.